Alright, and here we are for another match in this league. I'm going to keep this hand. I think this hand's okay. Got a turn 1 Delver, a Ponder, have a Vapor Snag just in case. So, I just did a... Well, that's unfortunate. I just did a recording where I threw it away because I played against Mono Black Control. And game 1, my opponent drew four... I think within the first 20 cards, my opponent drew 4 Chainer's Edicts, and also drew Bojuka. They're one of Bojuka Bog, and then game 2 they went Nihil Spellbomb in turn 1, and I was just like, I don't feel like playing anymore. um, I'm gonna Evolving Wilds here first, so that if I want to keep all 3 cards, I can. I would like to warn you that this deck's matchup with Mono Black Control is near impossible. Yeah, I think I can keep all these cards. I'll keep Deprive in my hand. We're up against Blue-Red Drake, probably, so another matchup that's pretty piss poor. Uh, like this deck's absolute worst matchup is Mono Black Control because you don't have enough stuff to control the game, and Chainer's Edict just completely owns you because you're looking to 1-for-1. And unlike Delver, you're not swarming the board with little 1/1s that can just be thrown away to Chainer's Edict, and you're protecting your Delver secrets. So, if Mono Black becomes popular again, you're probably not looking to play this deck, and I would just suggest Delver over it. Like, this deck is fun, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to suggest this deck to you when Delver is just better in every single way. The decks where this deck shines are decks where you need to win the game quickly, like maybe Blue-Green Peregrine or I'm just gonna let that resolve. Or against like maybe not maybe, but Burn is also not that bad of a matchup. Um, something like a bunch of like this deck is also good against the other rogue decks, but Delver is just I think better in general. I'm gonna go ahead and brainstorm here, try to draw into some type of threat. I was about to say maybe a Nimble Mongoose. Um, so we're gonna put 2 lands back, but I'm not gonna Thought Scour them away because I actually want one of them. So well, I have 4 mana. Maybe I don't need either of them actually. I kind of want a 5th land so I can hold up 2 counterspells and a Vapor Snag, but we shall see. Nimble Mongoose is quite good against this deck because they can't do anything to it while it's because of Shroud, and it gets through pretty much anything. So all their burn is just kind of unusable. Why is my opponent 23? Oh, they're okay. That's why. So this deck's matchup against Drake isn't terrible, because of Nimble Mongoose, but we'll see. Is my opponent playing a Drake? Yes, I'm going to counter that. Returning an island. I think that was the best play I could have made there. Does my opponent attack full 1? So now, since I don't actually have a counterspell, I am going to Thought Scour in my upkeep. Both to make this a 3/3, and so that I am not drawing 2 dead lands. Go ahead and do that. Drew another Vapor Snag. I guess that's not bad. Oh, I'm in my upkeep. Alright, so let's go ahead and Ponder. We see... Alright. So we'll go ahead and draw like that. Nope. Play a land, get in for 3, and pass. And we'll say go. So yeah, something that I was trying to point out was when you're playing a rogue deck like that, I'm gonna let that resolve. When you're playing a rogue deck like this, you have to say to yourself, can I beat Mono Black Control? Can I beat Delver? And can I beat Stompy? Like, bottom top, okay. This is of course assuming that like Drake isn't in the equation, because those are the 3... I'll let that resolve too. In my opinion, are the 3 best decks in the format. And they're not easily attacked because they attack from multiple angles, and also because a lot of removal in Pauper is damage based. So when you're a deck that's just full of uh, you know, removal and it's all damage based removal or removal spells that are like Disfigure, it makes it very hard to win when all of your tricks are pump spells. And you're also killing your opponent very quickly at the same time. Do I brainstorm here? I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. Try to draw into something since I don't have double counterspell. I don't think we're ever going to use this Gush, and I don't think I need this Thornwood Falls either, so I'm just going to play this land. And I'm going to pass the turn, leaving up Thought Scour, Counterspell, and double Rune Snag. The thing about Gush is setting myself back on lands is just not going to get me anywhere. I'm kind of on a race for time while my opponent just keeps on playing lands out. Preordain, okay. I really need a second counterspell myself. So yeah, you can't, like, this deck can never really beat mono black control, barring, like, extraordinarily weird things that happen. Edict effects are just too good against this deck, and because of Grey Merchant and whatnot, they can live for a very long period of time. Your matchup against Delver is slightly ahead, but you can beat it. But the thing about it is Delver has better matchups across the entire Pauper format. And your matchup against Stompy is okay, but that's only if you can draw Moments Pieces and not die before. So, with this deck you'll have fun. It's just I don't really think I can suggest this deck over Delver Secret, over Delver Blue. I think that if you're going to, I'm gonna Thought Scour here. We drew another Thornwood Falls. Let's go ahead and brainstorm. A Delver and Evolving Wilds. Okay. Well, we'll put the Alright. We'll put the Forest back, even though we're not going to get it. Not very good draws there. We'll go ahead and get an island. We'll attack for 3. Play Delver and say go when my opponent Lightning Bolts it. I'm not going to care. Or Fire Bolts or whatever they use to kill it. So this deck is, if you want to have some fun, this deck is all but fine. But I think I would easily just suggest if you want to play a deck like this, you just play Delver. But that's just my opinion. Archaeomancer. I'm going to let that resolve. I don't think I really care about Archaeomancer getting back Preordain, it looks like. Does my opponent just have nothing in their hand? That'd be quite surprising. Flame Slash. I have to let that resolve. I have to keep up these 2 Vapor Snags to try and disrupt the combo. Am I taking 2? My opponent is not attacking. I guess my opponent wants to triple block? Okay. That is a fair assessment. Alright, let's go ahead and gain a life. And attack. And when my opponent goes to triple block, I'm going to bounce back one of the Seagate Oracles, and then I'm going to kill the Archaeomancer, because I think killing off a Seagate Oracle is just not better. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll go ahead and Vapor Snag you. My opponent goes to counterspell it. I think I let it resolve, and then I just Vapor Snag again. I don't think it's very good to waste a counterspell here. Yep. Okay. Let's go ahead and Vapor Snag again. The other thing about this deck is that it's remarkably fair compared to all the other, like, better streamlined decks of Pauper, like the Drake decks, like Affinity, like Mono Black Control, etc. You're so streamlined and you're trying to win the game so quickly, and every deck either every aggro deck either wins like faster than you and better, or every control deck prolongs the game better than you do. I'm gonna try to counterspell that. I'm sure it's not gonna work. I also didn't play the Delver. I think there was a reason I wanted to bluff something, but in hindsight, maybe I should have just played the Delver. Opponent let the counterspell resolve. They must have another counterspell in their hand. I can't imagine they don't, so we'll see. Alright. Another Nimble Mongoose. That's pretty good, so now we can keep the clock going. This is all about me hoping my opponent just doesn't draw well while I'm killing them with little 3/3 Nimble Mongoose and Delver of Secrets. Although Delver's probably gonna die. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. You know you're dead when your opponent goes Compulsive Research and discards Compulsive Research and Seagate Oracle. You just know you're dead. I don't know why my opponent... I guess my opponent doesn't have the combo in their hand, because I can't imagine why they would have just played the pair... Why they... Oh, never mind. I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're going to be firebolting the Delver anyway. I just always see it as like, well, if the Delver player is going to win this turn, they're wasting time anyway. Guess I'm wrong. So my opponent played a Peregrine Drake and Archaeomancer to get back Counterspell. And I drew a Werebear. Joy to the world. So they can take 3 and triple block one of them, and then I can kill an Archaeomancer. They could also double block, and I can trade for a Peregrine Drake. Either way, I think I just attack for 6 and see what my opponent does. More than likely, my opponent is going to just triple block one of the Nimble Mongoose. And I'm just going to kill the Archaeomancer so that makes my opponent harder to combo out. Unless my opponent has Ghostly Flicker and just didn't go for the win. Yep. Play out this bear. See if my opponent counters it. And then all we have to do is say go. Another problem that I don't like about this deck is... wow, my opponent countered it. I did not expect that. They really don't have 2 removal spells? Oh no, they're just trying to kill me. Okay, I respect that. The other problem with this deck is none of your spells are too good. And you spend most of the time trying to get cards into your graveyard and fill this threshold plan when decks like Delver and Drake and Teachings are just drawing the cards and just using them. And all of your cards like just don't really do much. Like Vapor Snag doesn't really do much. It's true that you have a bunch of counter spells, but you don't draw a lot of cards. You don't swarm the board and go wide like Delver does. You're just not really getting as far as you should be. This game is pretty much over, by the way. Loving Wands, this game's over. I don't have the patience to keep going. I could have to waste time and yada 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 blah blah blah, but I didn't feel like doing it. So Piracy Charm here is okay. But it's not great. It doesn't really do much. Rune Snag is okay because all their spells are so expensive anyway. You definitely want Dispels to fight a counterfight. Again, I'm not a big fan of Gush. I think that you want to keep your lands in play and spend most of your time just throwing away lands with Thought Scour. I think actually only 2 Dispels is fine. And I think Rune Snag is just... It's not... I don't think Rune Snag's great. I do... sorry, Vapor Snag. I think Vapor Snag is better than Piracy Charm, though. I think Piracy Charm would be better if you could maybe, use it for profit on some things, but making them discard a card when they're drawing multiple cards isn't going to be great, and the Island Walk isn't really going to get you much of anywhere because they can just easily kill this and kill this. Your best card is Nimble Mongoose. They can't do anything about it except for, like triple and double block it, so we'll see how that goes. And all right, we'll see what happens when we come back. All right, let's see. My opening hand is a Delver and a Brainstorm. I think I have to keep this hand and just hope that this Brainstorm brings me some good luck. I already have the Nimble Mongoose. Um, I have I have a Werebear, in case I draw another greens, and just in case. And if my opponent doesn't have an answer for this Delver, and we can get somewhere, I might be able to do something. I can also guarantee flip it with Brainstorm. So, opponent starts off with an island. Let's see if we can Brainstorm. I said, let's see if we can Brainstorm. Thank you. Okay, so we'll put Thornwood Falls and Vapor Snag back on top. We'll show my opponent the Vapor Snag. Yes. And we'll play this Thornwood Falls, and we will get in for 3. Why does F8 not work when you're attacking? I guess because you could cancel the attack, but... Okay, my opponent must have drawn that Preordain, so we shall see. Drake is, it's not a terrible matchup, but it's not great. Again, because they can't do much to Nimble Mongoose, but the problem with Drake is that you don't really have much to stop what they're doing. You also don't have much to stop their creatures. So it also really depends like who's on the play and whatnot. So now here the question is, do I play this Nimble Mongoose? And I don't think so. I think I want to keep up Rune Snag or Counterspell. Because especially if my opponent tries to evoke a Mulldrifter or tries to go Compulsive Research. That is definitely something I want to do. So it looks like my opponent's passing. They could have a Pyroblast. Drew another land. Another land's not terrible. Go ahead and attack for 3. Now, the problem with playing Nimble Mongoose here is, did my opponent bring in Electrickery? Because if they did, that just is balls. I'm actually going to counterspell that and try to protect this. And if they try to counterspell back, I'm going to... I think I just let that resolve. Them using a counterspell there kind of signals to me what you may not what you may think. It actually doesn't signal them being desperate. It signals that my opponent understands the later the game goes, the more they're favored. And it's not the Drake combo, it's just the blue-red control shell that you really have a hard time beating. Because you don't have an effective way to actually kill a creature. Okay, Mancer probably getting back Lightning Bolt. Yep. If I draw a Thought Scour, I'll be in business. I did not. I drew an Evolving Wilds. So go ahead and get this island out there. We'll play this Nimble Mongoose. And we'll pass the turn. My opponent's going to kill this bear. I'm going to be forced to let it resolve. Because there's nothing that I can really do about it. The other problem is without Threshold, removing like Werebear is just not, it's just not difficult at all. I drew another Rune Snag, I guess that's not bad. Just gotta pass the turn though. I have 5 cards or 4 cards? I have 4 cards. So, you're gonna bolt the Werebear? Okay. I find it kind of interesting that my opponent's doing it on my turn, but not really, actually. The other thing is that you really suck against Pyroblast. It's just, again, it's all these things. See, and now, I can't counter that. And I don't have much pressure going on. So I have to let that resolve. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think that this deck's great. It's fun. It's a lot of fun if you want to try it out. It's certainly a lot of fun. But if you hope to do well in leagues, I would definitely look towards something else. Alright, we'll go ahead and ponder. Dispel, Thought Scour, and Werebear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we'll go ahead and keep all these cards, but we'll draw the Werebear last, and we'll draw the Dispel first. And we'll pass the turn. I could Vapor Snag back the Seagate Oracle, but I don't like that play too much. One, it just gives my opponent a free card, and two, I think Vapor Snag is better used elsewhere. Excuse me. Opponent played a Mole Drifter. Let's go ahead and use Vapor Snag. Vapor Snag. Rune Snag. So, I guess with this, you're vaping away the creatures. With this, you're ruining the creature. I don't know. There's the Pyroblast, so I'm going to go ahead and dispel the Pyroblast, because I don't want this Mole Drifter to resolve. And now we're going to draw Thought Scour. And I can actually Thought Scour my opponent and play my Werebear, which is, I think, what I want to do, actually. Just to keep my flow of cards going. That could be wrong. Build a Seagate Oracle on an island. Alright. Go ahead and play that and pass the turn. If my opponent goes to Flame Slash my Werebear, I'll probably Vapor Snag it back. Opponent played it. So that's probably what they drew for the turn. No attacks. Okay. Drawing a Thornwood Falls there is not good. Go ahead and attack for 3 or 7, not 3. I don't know why I said that. They're taking 7, going to 5, 6. Okay. I can just play the land here and pass turn. If I have anything at the end of the step, no. You know, something that could be good in Drake decks is maybe not. I guess it depends on the deck, but Accumulated Knowledge. Wow, we actually won that game. Okay, guess my opponent just drew not good. Quite surprised I won that game. So on the draw, there isn't really much else to change. The problem with Dispel is that it doesn't actually counter the creatures. Again, the problem with Piracy Charms doesn't actually kill anything. The problem with Stormbound Geist is it's kind of slow. And also, if you noticed, gets blocked by Peregrine Drake for free at least once. So the question is it better than oh, excuse me. Is it better than anything in our deck? I don't think so. I think I just want to stick to this plan and well, if we can repeat how game 2 goes, you know, it'll be good. That's not a very good start. I also feel like I'm having to get extra lucky to win with this deck, and I don't like that feeling when I'm playing a deck. I think I have to keep this. I don't think that going down to 5 is really worth it. I don't think I want that Ponder either. I think my absolute best draw right now would be a basic island. Okay. Said every blue player ever. My next absolute best draw would be... I don't know. I don't know what would be the best draw, actually. No, I don't know. My opponent let it go. Alright. So they're probably going to bolt after they see it flip. Well, it's not flipping. And I'm actually going to keep that. And attack for 1. Actually, no. I'm going to play Preordain. What the hell's wrong with me? For some reason, I thought this was a Brainstorm in my... not a Brainstorm. I thought that was, something else. Oh, there is Brainstorm. I think I want to keep the Brainstorm and the Preordain. Because then next turn I can go Brainstorm and I can just mill the Una's Grace. And I think my opponent, my opponent knowing that I'm going to actually flip my Delver most likely, they correctly kill it. You know, something that I always wondered, do people run the bluff of let me keep both cards on top so my opponent wastes a removal spell on my Delver thinking it's going to flip but it isn't? That is definitely something I have thought about. Compulsive Research, alright. So here I'm just going to play this, and I'm just going to pass the turn, leaving up Rune Snag. instead of preordaining because we also get to brainstorm. So we'll see how that goes for me. So I'm just going to rune snag this Seagate Oracle, and the reason for that is to get value out of my rune snag. Sure, I could wait to see if they cast a Mole Drifter next turn, but I don't think that's actually very profitable for me. Did I not hit F8? No, now I did. About to say, am I getting firebolted? Alright, let's go ahead and preordain. See if I can draw into something. Werebear and Evolving Wilds. I actually don't want either of these cards. If my Werebear was going to be a 4/4, then yes, I would keep it, but other than that, no. So we drew a counterspell. We're getting somewhere. What I really need is Nimble Mongoose. If I could just play like 7 of them just for this matchup alone, I would. This Seagate Oracle, however, I will let resolve. That one I'm not going to pick a fight over with counterspell. You really need to save your counterspell for that. If it was another rune snag, possibly I would have, but probably not. Alright, so let's go ahead and brainstorm. Rune snag, island, island. Alright, well we're going to put island and... Actually, we're going to put Una's Grace and island back on top. And the reason for that is if my opponent, for some reason, feels they need to counter this Thought Scour, I'd rather draw the island next turn. Evolving Wilds. Alright. So, we'll just play the land and say go. 2 counterspells up, which is not terrible. Cycling Forgotten Cave. Man, that's kind of mean, isn't it? Whenever you cycle this, it's really like you forgot about the cave. Isn't that messed up? I'm awful. I hate my life. I gotta pause. Alright. So all my opponent did was just return a land. And I'm gonna brainstorm and see where I get. Alright, I'll put both islands back on top. We'll play this Evolving Wilds and immediately crack it. For a forest. Go ahead and... Actually, let's ponder first. Make it seem like I drew into the Delver. Okay, I didn't actually expect to literally draw into the Delver. Now, the problem with keeping this is that I have to sift through one of my draws with the Thornwood Falls. But the other thing is, like, keeping the Dispel is also good, but I'm going to just shuffle them away and roll the dice. Alright, well, I drew a Delver's Secret. I mean, I drew a Nimble Mongoose, which is good. So I'm just going to say go here and leave up Rune Snag / Counterspell. When my opponent goes to kill the Delver, I'll just let it happen. Yeah. Oh. I don't care about that either. So I guess my opponent's really desperate to find something? I'm not sure what they could be desperate to find. We'll see. Opponent plays a Mole Drifter. I'm going to go ahead and Rune Snag it. And my opponent will most likely counterspell it or Pyroblast it. And then draw a couple cards. And then we'll see what happens. Alright, there goes Pyroblast. I wonder if this deck should play Mole Drifter. I don't actually know. Let's see if we flip. We do with the counterspell as well, which is cool. So I'll go ahead and attack. See if my opponent blocks. They probably will, yep. And we'll go ahead and play Nimble Mongoose. And pass turn. See, now, this is the thing about every other blue deck in Pauper is they're all doing it better than you. Like, again, I feel like I have to get extra lucky to win with this deck. And I feel like with every other blue deck in the format, I'm going to have to counterspell that. I feel like with every other deck in the format, like Delver, Blue-Red Drake, Teachings, and etc., you know, you, you don't have to work as hard. Opponent is down to 5 minutes though, so I don't know. Maybe I can pull this one out of my butt. Werebear. Okay. Get in for 3. Play this and say go. I have to assume my opponent has the combo in hand. And if they have it, they have it. You know, let them do it. If they don't, I don't know. We'll see. There is Drake. I don't know why my opponent's not floating a mana. But whatever. What do I know? My opponent played Drake and said go. Alright. Well, I'm going to attack with both my dudes. And when my opponent goes to double block this, I'm going to kill the Drake. Make sure I didn't have 6. And play another Werebear. Does it resolve? Probably not. I mean, I guess if my opponent just has, like... Okay. I guess my opponent drew a counterspell that turn? Well, we have Una's Grace in the grave, so any land I draw can turn into a spell, possibly. Ghostly Flicker at the end of turn to draw a card. Okay. Alright, so opponent drew a Drake and played it and passed. Drew a Delver. Alright. In for 4. My opponent going to double block and then bolt my little bear. My little angry bear. Does not look like it. Delver, pass. Okay. Opponent just attacked and said go. Flip a Preordain, that's good. Let's go ahead and attack first so that if my opponent doesn't do anything, we have more information. Okay. Well, get in for 4, I suppose. Preordain. Alright. We'll keep both. Go ahead and Thought Scour. Drew a land and milled a Dispel, which is balls. But we have Una's Grace. I'm going to just Una's Grace the end of my opponent's turn so I have enough mana to do whatever I want on my own turn. Impulsive, alright, you got it. Well, I'm going to Una's Grace. Where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. See if I can draw into a Vapor Snag or a... Well, really Vapor Snag. Nope, drew a Thought Scour. Okay. Probably just going to Thought Scour my opponent since I don't really want to lose too many more cards. I guess I could also keep it in my hand, but I think it's better to do this. They lost a Counterspell and a Mountain. Cool. Ponder away. No, I don't want any of these cards. Okay. Ponder away again. Dispel, Brainstorm, Vapor Snag. I don't really want any of these cards either, to be honest with you. Well, actually, I guess... No, I guess, these cards aren't too bad. So what we can do is draw like this. And then I can pass the turn. I can then Una's Grace and then Brainstorm. Take 3 and go to 11. So Una's Grace. Discard a land. Brainstorm. Could also Vapor Snag this, but that doesn't seem like it's going to help me too much. Okay. Oh, pass the turn, I suppose. So I'm just going to go ahead and Vapor Snag this now. And then when my opponent goes to recast it, I will Counterspell it, and then probably have to fight with a Dispel. Though I'm at 10, and my opponent has started to speed up their play, and they're not going for the combo, so probably just going to lose. Oh, they let that go through. Alright. Let's go ahead and Una's Grace myself. See what I get. Counterspell. Alright. Sure. Take another counterspell, I guess. I suppose that is reasonable. Yep, take one. Man, this has been a long game, huh? Vapor Snag. Alright. Pass the turn. So what I'll probably do is take one, and then at the end of turn, I'll Vapor Snag the Seagate Oracle, so my opponent can't replay it, and I get another turn of reprieve. Assuming my opponent doesn't do anything. Compulsive, sure. You can't compulsive me, man. I want to draw cards too. Meanie. Preordained, sure. I can't counter cantrips. I have to counter actual spells. Nothing I can really do about it. Good old top. Then you know you're screwed. Nope, top bottom. Archaeomancer. No. No. You don't need that to win. Vapor Snag you. Alright, Delver, go. Delver, bring me home to victory. I'm really surprised that so many people bring an Electrickery against me. Well, I guess I'm not totally surprised, but I'm surprised at the same time. So. Alright, Peregrine Drake resolved. I suppose my opponent could go for the combo win here if they really wanted to. Archaeomancer, sure. Whatever, bro. Getting back... I don't know what they got back. Pyroblast? They got back Counterspell. Okay. Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know what I can draw. I wish I had Moment's Peace in my deck, though. Werebear, alright. It's a blocker. It's a blocker! My opponent didn't counterspell it! That's not good for me! No! Bolt me. I want to dispel that. Okay. I'm at 5. Never mind, I'm at 2. So unfortunate. My opponent had the perfect cards. Not really. Oh my god, they Flame Slash just to rub it in. Alright, we're dead. So, give me a second. Alright, so, I'm not a big fan of this deck. I don't think that this deck's very good. For the format right now, I think it's a blast to play. I think it's a lot of fun. I think if you want to play a deck that's going to win, I think Delver is just probably better. I also think that Drake is just probably better. So that's really that. I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode of the Arctic Pauper Show. I apologize if it wasn't very entertaining, and I apologize, if this was my conclusion, but I'm not a big fan of this deck. So, I'm not going to like every deck. I'm not going to really suggest every deck. It's just like Slivers. I think that there are better aggro decks, and I think that this deck has too many bad matchups that you're just not gonna run into a lot of bad times. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. What do I know? So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. You take care.